everybody, this is Christina with Christina Russell Coaching. And in the last video I made, I talked about resistance that can come up when we set a goal and can really stop us in our tracks. And one of the types of resistance I mentioned was when we have an immediate, well, it's not always immediate, but a feeling of some shortcoming we have that makes our goal impossible. So it could be something like, I don't have the training that I need, or I'm not smart enough, or I just don't have what it takes. The whole theme is going to be something around, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough. And that's very painful for most of us. And we don't want to feel it, so we just kind of put our goal to the side so we don't have to deal with those feelings. And so what I want to do today is show you how you can work with that voice, that negative voice, using tapping or emotional freedom techniques to really start to shift that negative thinking and negative feelings. If you're not familiar with tapping, it's a mind-body tool that helps calm the fight or flight response, calm the stress response in the body. And when we do that, we have more access to our full inner resources, our full brain. So we can take action that can move us forward towards our goals and feel better, because we really want that too. So today, the way we're going to do it is we're going to work, working with this belief that we have some sort of inner shortcoming, that we're not good enough, which is usually some form of the inner critic, which for many people, that voice is so dark and so harsh. I've worked with probably hundreds of clients, hundreds of people on this issue. I've worked with it in myself, and I know what it sounds like in there. For most people, it's really pretty intense, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it today. We're going there. And the way I like to use tapping, even if your inner critic around this particular issue today maybe doesn't sound that harsh, that's great. Be grateful. But I like to voice the worst of the worst, even exaggerate it, so that it just works better if you do it that way. If you go into it, exaggerate it, it kind of helps pull it up from the roots and shift it. And if you're somebody who likes to focus on positive thinking and affirmations, that's wonderful. So do I. I love positive thinking. But if you're that way, this is going to be a little shocking and disturbing how dark it's going to be, what we're going to voice together if you choose to do it with me. And so the reason I'm mentioning that is because I promise you that if you tap while you voice the negative, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to shift it, because that negative voice is in there. And if we can tap on it, then we can bring in the positive, and it's going to have so much more power, and it's going to help us that much more once we shift the negative. Now, I will tell you that tapping is an amazing tool that you can use on your own, and I encourage almost all my clients to do it. I use it on myself all the time. And this is intense stuff that we're about to go into. So if you need support around it, talk to someone that you trust. I'm here. This is my specialty. This is what I help with people with all the time. I'm very open to talking with you. And if you're feeling really vulnerable, if this is just too much for you, don't do it. That's okay. I really want you to take responsibility for yourself and your own well-being. So if you are up for it, here's what we're going to do. I want you to think about a goal that triggers this inner critic, that triggers this voice inside that says, I'm not enough. I don't have what it takes to do that. So it could be, doubling your income, tripling your income, or a specific project you want to work on, or going back to school, just some sort of goal that triggers some voice inside that says, I don't think I'm good enough to do that. And just for now, sort of invite those negative thoughts and feelings to come up a little bit more clearly so you can really get information about what they are for you. You can ask them to please not take over. We don't want them to take you over, but we do want to just be curious about them. Let them know that you want to get to know them better. Sometimes we have so many protective layers that it can take a minute to find our negative thoughts. And other times they pop right up. They're always kind of running right there for some people. Whatever it is, it's fine. If you don't notice anything, that's okay. Be kind to yourself. As we go along, you might notice more. So we're just going to tap on those negative thoughts. And like I said, I keep warning you, it is going to be dark. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If my words that I say don't match your words exactly, that's totally fine. You can shift the words if you want, say the words that match your experience, or you can just use my words and focus on your feelings. It doesn't have to match perfectly for it to work, I promise. So just tap where I tap and repeat what I say. Okay, here we go. Right on the inside of the eyebrow. There's my goal. Outside of the eye, right on the bone, not back on the temple, but up on the bone. And I feel all this resistance to it. Under the eye, right on the bone. All these negative thoughts. Under the nose. This old familiar feeling of not being good enough. On the chin, this part of me that says awful things to me. Like on the collarbone, like, you think you can do that? On the bra line for women, you can't do that. Top of the head, you don't have what it takes. You're not smart enough. You don't have the education or the training. You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not likable enough. You're not charismatic enough. You're too lazy. You don't have the work ethic to do that. Who do you think you are? Maybe it even says things like, you think you can pull that off? What a joke. You're such a loser. Such a fool. Such an idiot. You can't do that. You think you're so special, but you're not. You're too stupid, too ugly, too fat, too disorganized, too much of a slacker. You're not good enough. And I am right about this. I am 100% right about it. And I have evidence. And you know what it is. There's been times in the past where you've gone after something, thought you were so special, and it didn't go well because of you and your shortcomings. And I'm not going to let you try that again. I don't want to see you get hurt. You're not good enough. Who do you think you are? All these negative thoughts. All these painful feelings. I'm just going to honor them now. And just pause. And take a deep breath. I know that can be intense for some people. And I want you to think about your goal again and notice if your negative voice has gotten worse or better. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. I said this before, that's what happens to me a lot. I often get worse before I get better. And if you do feel worse, that's okay. Just go back and do what we just did, that negative round of tapping again. Sometimes multiple times, sometimes you need multiple times to do it, but it will start to shift. And again, I know it's mean, I know it sounds so negative, but that's what's in a lot of people's head. I know, because I've talked to a lot of people and I know what's in my own head. Now, if you're feeling better, if that voice has started to calm down and get quieter, which hopefully it has, or hopefully it will after you go through a few more times, I'm curious if what you noticed when you heard, when we voiced this part saying, I don't want you to get hurt again. This idea that this part, this mean voice, is actually trying to protect you from being hurt. And if that resonates with you, see if you can just send some appreciation to that part for trying to help you in its own way. Sometimes it's hard to appreciate, a voice that sounds so mean. And so don't force it. If it's not coming up, that's okay. But if you do feel it, just send some appreciation in and see if that voice can receive that appreciation. I've done parts work with people for many years, and what I've seen over and over again is that all parts of us are trying to help, trying to serve you in some way. Now, sometimes they get stuck in extreme roles and their behavior seems really misguided. But if they feel understood by you, appreciated by you, they'll often be willing to shift. So we're going to do one more round of tapping on this. And this one's going to be a little bit more positive, okay? So starting again on the inside of the eyebrow. Wow, I'm really seeing some things today. I've got a really intense part of me that can be so mean, so cruel, so critical. And maybe it's even worse than I thought. And I'm seeing now that it's really trying to help me, trying to protect me from getting hurt, from being vulnerable. And I'm just going to honor that. Honor that part of me that works so hard to keep me safe. Sometimes it's just in there working 24/7, trying to keep me safe. I'm seeing that today. And I'm open to being curious about it, to appreciating its intentions, and to negotiating a new relationship with it so it can truly help me rather than hurt me so badly. What if I could honor this protective part of me and the fear underneath it? What if we could develop a new way of working together? What if this part of me could trust me more? Trust the bigger me, my true self. What if I could actually see myself the way I truly am? Imperfect, yes. I mean, I am human, but I also have gifts to give, and I do want to give them, and I want to receive equally well for all that I give. Yeah, I may not be perfect, but I do have things to offer. What if I could give my gifts and be present to my fears around this at the same time? I'm open to being imperfect and working towards my goals at the same time. And take a deep breath. And once again, check in with your negative voice and see where it is now. my hope is it's starting to feel calmer, starting to feel quieter. And I would love feedback on that. If you want to share your experiences, you can type it in the comments or send me a message if you want. And like I said, this is a process that often needs to be done again and again. It's not a one-time shot. Like, we're not done. You will probably see that voice again. It may sound a little differently next time, but every time it comes up, if you can just start tapping on whatever it's saying, even if it's just a quick minute of, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, it will start to come down. And I know that this is big, this is intense, it's really intense. And if you're feeling a lot, I strongly encourage you to tap through that negative round again, maybe multiple times until you start to feel a shift. If you think if you're interested in doing some one-on-one work around it, is really my specialty in my coaching business. What I really want to do is go to the deep layers of resistance we have towards our goals and truly transform them so your goals really become achievable. So if you're interested in hearing more about that or seeing if we would be a good fit together, feel free to send me a message. I have to free initial consultations. So thank you again. I honor you for doing this process with me. I know it's not easy. It takes courage and commitment to work on this stuff. So I honor you, and I hope you can honor yourself for what you did today too. So thank you, and have a good day and a good weekend. Bye, everybody. Good work.